I still always feel like I don't know what I'm doing and stuff, and like not at all. But maybe you just feel like that
Yeah.
forever.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like that. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm like, when am I gonna feel like an adult?
Yeah.
And
I
it
still
just
want my mom to make
never
my doctor's appointments, so
really happens.
My dad was saying that the other day, like he still feels like 20.
I bet
Yeah.
you feel more like an adult once you have a kid, though, because
Yeah,
then you
because then it's
have
just
to
the
like,
responsibility.
yeah, it like turns the switch in your head where you have to do certain things,
That's a good point.
I
like
just
take your kids
am
to the
not
doctors.
ready. This girl posted Lamb and Littles, my friend. She posted like because she just had a baby like 5 weeks ago, and it was like this sleep chart of when, like, keeping track of when the baby was awake and asleep. And she was
Mhm.
posting it saying like, we got 5 hours straight last night, like it was a great night. And someone replied and was like, if this is a good night, like I want to see a bad night. And she posted that, and I was like, I don't know how I will do that. Like I genuinely don't understand how people stay up all night for
Yeah.
weeks and weeks and weeks,
Yeah.
months.
Well, like,
And let's hope you don't
I
have
don't think
any
I had
postpartum
really
I know.
depression.
until Joe's sister had a baby, like, I had always had, like, kind of a second, like, hand view of what it's like to have a baby. And with
Yeah.
her, I'm like, "Holy shit, I didn't realize how difficult this is." And it's, like, not even about for her specifically, she's pumping, and, like, so her
Mhm.
baby's
Ugh.
sleeping, but
Didn't
she
even
has
think
to
about that.
pump. Like, she has to get up to pump in order to, like, keep the milk supply.
Yeah, because it like hurts.
My mom never
And not even
breastfed.
that, but, like, she would lose milk supply if she doesn't
Oh,
pump.
yeah, that too. That's
So,
stressful.
it's, like, this whole thing of, like, okay, she wants to do breastfeeding or, like, pumping, but it's the balance of, like, okay, when do you wanna stop? Because it's so like, you're not sleeping. I just
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
and you
crazy.
like the schedule of having to pump and then feed and then pump again and then feed is just like never
Yeah.
ending.
My grandma was saying the other day that when I was little, she used to bring me to my mom's work so that my mom could breastfeed me. And I'm like, that is so
Really?
crazy. Like, you have to feed a human. Is it
That
weird
is
to you to think about
crazy.
breastfeeding? Like, it's kind of a little
Yeah,
odd to me, like, when
it
I, like,
is.
think
Yeah.
about it. Like, I don't it's but
Like
people
it's
act like
so
it's so
sweet,
magical, yeah.
but also it's so weird.
Like, I'm like, "This is gonna be sucking on my
And do you see
nipple?"
like what your nipple does when they suck on it? Like how it like is like going down there. It's like so long.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
they,
saw
like,
on
suck.
TikTok like a
Animation?
yeah of it, and I was like, that it. You know how bottle nipples are like long?
Yeah.
That's literally what happens to your nipple.
That's insane.
Did you know, like, the bumps around your nipple, it's, like, so the baby can find it and see it. Like, it
Oh,
looks like
like so you can
braille.
feel it on their lip. That's why
Mhm.
when babies are hungry and they like move their mouth around on your face and arm and stuff, they're like looking for a
Yeah.
nipple.
They
Yeah, that's also why
also
they
I
get so
love
much
babies.
darker.
the other thing that's funny
Mm,
is
gross.
you apparently smell worse because the baby that's, like, how the baby can, like, find you.
That is horrible. Like, it sounds truly miserable.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, what percentage? Is it 100% that you don't wanna have kids? Or, like, is there, like, a small percentage that's like,
She
maybe
was
one
gonna
day?
freeze her eggs this year, remember?
Yeah.
I think, like, 85 to 90%. I still wanna freeze my eggs just in
85's
case, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think it
Has
depends
Joe
on, like
always been on the same page as you, or was it, like
yeah.
so when you met, you felt that way also, like, when you're dating, or was it, like, a newer thing? Because I feel like as I've gotten older, the more hesitant I've gotten about having kids.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it
because
was kinda
Ned's
like
like,
a societal thing, like, "Oh, I'll have kids," like, probably for
Yeah.
the first, like, couple of years, and then I was like, "Wait." There's, like, other people that have talked about just not wanting kids, and they, like, normalized it for me. Like, it's
Mhm.
always been in the back of my head that I don't really wanna have kids, but, like,
Mhm.
as a society, it's like, "No, you're gonna have
'Cause
kids,"
people
and
act like your life will be, like, horrible or something when
if
actually
you
it'll
yeah.
don't.
probably be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people that
But
are, like,
like
just so happy without kids, and it's like, "Oh."
I think you can go the first half of your life being like, yeah, I want to have kids because once I'm 25, I'm going to want kids, but then you get to
Mhm.
25 and you're like, wait, I'm not ready to have kids. And like
Yeah.
I'm 30 now. I'm not ready to have kids. Like I can't
Yeah.
see myself I can't afford it and I can't see myself being a mom. I wish we could like double our lifespan and live like
I
50
know.
years child free and then like have kids
Well, I
after
think
that just
that's
because like
that's like what's naturally happened because we're living so much older. I took this whole class about like health and how our lifespans have increased so much and how it's like so bad in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like because there's so many old people who are just like living like bedridden almost for
Yeah.
years and years and years. But just because it's like we have the technology to keep them alive, kind of. But then
Yeah.
like we're moving everything later in life.
my great grandma is 94 with zero technology, but she has
Well,
dementia.
that's
So
so
it's like,
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not living a good life, but there's nothing that's like
Does she know that she's not living a
keeping
good
her like,
life though? Like,
yeah.
does
I
she,
mean, she's
oh.
been, since she was probably like 85, when we celebrated her birthday, we'd be like, oh, next year. And she's like, I hope I'm not alive that long.
Dude, my
And
grandma
it's like
says
10
that
years
every
later.
day. My
That's,
grandma
like,
every
so-
day is like, I can't wait to die. I'm like, okay, grandma.
My grandparents like lived like really full lives into their 90s and then their health just started declining, but like my grandma's playing like tennis in her 90s.
That's
And it's
That's
insane.
like
amazing.
but it's so wild to me because what did they do that they were able to like live such full lives into their 90s?
Well, were they always
Where, like,
active?
yeah, I think they were pretty active like their
I think
whole
it's
lives.
about staying active
Yeah.
Like if you keep moving, you
physically and
can't stop.
mentally.
Yeah, I think they both mentally have always been so. My grandpa is like so sharp. He was remembering things from when he was like in his like 30s, when he was like in his 80s. Like he would tell stories, and I just wish that like my biggest regret with them is just not like my grandparents were. I kind of like put them on this like pedestal, and I was a little bit scared of them because they were just like English and when I
Yeah,
was
they
younger.
feel like formal.
Things definitely felt formal, but I remember like when we were like learning please and thank you, just like always say it, we'd be like, can I have some cheese? And my grandpa would be like, no, and like very
Really?
firm, and I would freak the fuck out. Like I
Because
just
you gotta be
remember
like,
that.
may I have some cheese, grandpa?
No, you have to say please, like,
Grandfather.
may I please
Wait,
have
what
some
did you
cheese?
call your English grandparents?
I called them Nana and Papa.
Okay, I called my nanny and papa.
Yeah.
Cute.
But that was like terrifying for me. But then as I grew older, like I was like, oh my God, you have so many incredible stories, like from the war, from moving to Canada, from like starting the business to like my grandpa used to travel all over the world because he was in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And um he just had like so many crazy stories from all of his travels.
That's so cool. I wonder if you get your advertising genes.
Well, that's why I think it's so funny. I'm like, oh, this is like in my family.
Yeah.
Because he used to sell like ad space in magazines like The
Oh,
Economist and like Business Insider, and like when all of those were just like magazines.
That's really cool.
that is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, when I
That's
was in
awesome.
Arizona, we did an interview with my grandma because I saw that on the Kardashians like a few seasons
Uh-huh.
ago where they interviewed the grandma. And so I really wanted to. And at first we just looked up like questions to ask your grandparents
Yeah.
and like those popped up, but then we just kind of started like talking besides that. And my grandma before she was like, I'm not going to remember anything. Like I wish we would have done this 10 years ago. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember, but like I'll do it for you. This girl remembered everything. She's like, my neighbor when I was 8, Bob Monatak, like full names, like
But
saying her
Yeah.
doctor's names.
They
like,
have these stories that they tell over and over again, and
That is kinda
obviously they
true.
remember them because like
But
my
there was a
grandma
lot I
tells the
didn't know.
same.
Yeah. But you know what I think? Because my memory from when I was like 3 until I was in my early 20s was like so much sharper than when it is now. And I think the biggest thing is that we didn't have phone, like, so say something happens, right? Your brain has the like before phones and distractions, like your brain had time to process it and like store it, and you had time to like process it and kind of remember it and like digest it. But now something happens and then you immediately go to your phone and you don't get the time to like process. I don't know if this is like actually scientific, but like this is what my like hypothesis is like we just don't give ourselves time to like process the
There's no
memories.
processing time. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like so much harder for us to remember like small details. But like before, we just had all of this time not glued to a phone, and it was like just our brain was able to
That's so
process
true.
everything and
It's like
remember
the
it.
living in the present, which is also like a huge thing with anxiety and stuff. Or
Oh,
people say
yeah.
like when you're depressed, you're living in the past, and when you're
Mhm.
anxious, you're living in the future type thing.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to do that.
Examples of experiences with memories, because when my best friend and I would like have an experience with LA Golding, when we left the experience, we would both tell each other what happened in
Mhm.
our own minds, and they would be different stories. And my friend Ashlyn would be like, "Oh yeah, and she said this," and I'd be like, "What? She said that?" Like
Mhm. Isn't that
totally having
weird?
different stories of doing the exact same thing. And now I'll even like 5 years later completely I don't even remember, and we would even tell the stories to ourselves over and over again, and
Yeah.
it's still the story changes in my head
Or
5 years
like in
later.
college, like when you go out drinking with your friends and then like waking up the next morning, like with your
Yeah.
roommates, like all talking about whatever happened the night before. I
Yeah.
love that.
Drinking
Yeah.
also makes it harder to remember things.
That's
Yeah,
very
that's what I
true.
was kind of like thinking. It was like, is it more drinking or is it more just like distractions? And I feel like for me, it's more just like having so many different distractions and like things
And so
going
much
on
going
all the
on in your
time.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like you're not processing
And I feel
at
like we
all.
exercise a lot more short-term memory versus long-term memory now. Like this morning or like what we have to do instead of what happened like last week.
Yeah. But weirdly, my grandma remembers a lot more shit about my life than I do as well. So
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh yeah, remember when you did this?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
I feel like I remember a lot. Like Cameron doesn't remember a lot of elementary school or like memories with friends and stuff. I feel like I remember most everything, but I also don't know how much I'm just like making up in my head or like from pictures or videos.
I
Yeah.
only remember like the traumatic things, the things that like
Yeah.
bothered me.
Uh-huh.
I
Well,
Or
some
the
remember
people
really
like
say
good
like the trauma
things.
everything.
can block it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do like I feel like I need to start doing like more like brain exercises and stuff. Like we got
Yes,
these little
me
books that have like
too.
word searches and things like that. I feel like I
Oh
Yeah.
want to
yeah,
do that
back to
more.
like longevity as an old person really quick. So my grandma is 75 and she still works a full-time job, and she is sharp. I think it's so important not to retire too early, because
Yeah.
that is what gives you purpose and keeps you sharp and young.
Yeah.
It
Purpose,
is
I
And
think, is a
kind
really
of,
good
purpose.
point too.
yeah.
Like having a reason to live.
It
Yeah,
was
and just
really
like, yeah.
I gave
As
my
humans, we
grandma
need that.
yeah,
Mhm.
like you literally do. I gave my grandma for Christmas this like picture thing and it had like all her grandkids' names with like our birth flowers and it said like grandma's
Mhm.
garden. It was very cute. But she
Aw.
like cried and stuff and she was like, I was talking to my therapist about this and like
Oh, she's a
didn't feel like I had
therapist.
a yeah, she's a mental health girly. So she doesn't really see anybody frequently or like
Mhm.
feel like she has a purpose. So when she got that, she was like, I realized you guys are my purpose and like all this cute stuff. And that's like that's true. And like what I made that video about the other day, like your purpose isn't like a career.
No, but you have to have a purpose.
Yeah, but like your purpose can be so many things. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought like it needed to be like this one thing that like I needed to find and then like once I found that one thing, like then I'd just be good forever.
Yeah.
I think it's such an American thing for career to be your drive
Yes.
and purpose too,
It really
which
is.
sucks.
I definitely like kind of like now that was so many likes, I'm sorry. Now I'm really excited to share who I am with people when I'm introducing myself instead of, hey, I'm this. I'm a medical device rep or I'm whatever.
Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
so hard
Now
to do. Like how do you even do that? Like when because people usually say like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's the first
well, like
question.
a lot of people are, who are you? What
Who
like
says
tell
that?
us about yourself. Or
Yeah, that's the
just
first thing.
like
Like when I
when
wrote my bio, like I'm a content creator in Phoenix, Arizona. Like
Yeah, like
I'm a
but
daughter
what
and a
does help
sister.
though is our career. There is a separate purpose like behind it. Like
yeah.
We
there's
have a brand, like we're business, like our
yeah,
career
but it can
brands.
Yeah.
also be like to help girls do this or what. Like there's like a message and meaning behind just the career, I guess. So you could describe
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah. That's what one of the exercises one of the exercises I did in the mastermind that retreat we did was like looking through values. and really defining a strong mission. And I think everybody on social media should do that, because I think it really helps, similar to the test we did, where we already know a lot of the things that we're talking about, but having a physical like attribute to it makes it so much easier to communicate and attract those type of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. Should we talk about what we're currently watching or reading or anything, or just?
I wanted to tell you, Maggie, that you know how you were all talking about New Amsterdam and like how it reminds you of Grey's Anatomy and it makes you so cozy
So
and
you've
happy.
been watching Grey's Anatomy?
Yes. I was like, oh, I really want to watch Grey's. Oh, it is such a good fucking show. I
You know
love
what?
it so much.
I-
It makes me so happy.
I need a new show to watch, and I feel like I'm gonna try Grey's again, especially from
Can we
season
try
1.
New Amsterdam?
No,
I don't know
Grey's
if I want
Anatomy
to.
is so much better. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I just love everything about it. I love Meredith and Christina. I love Meredith and McDreamy. I love Christina and Dr. Burke. I just love
Yes.
I
and
do
all
love it.
the it's just
And
as
Alex,
I'm watching it again as an adult, I'm like, God,
Yeah.
the show is so good. Like I have goosebumps.
Did you
there's
guys
probably
see
so many things that went
scene?
over our head too, watching
Yeah.
it like
Oh,
in middle
that's
school and
so
high school.
true.
Yeah.
Like,
That is probably true.
the dynamics between everybody.
Yeah.
The scene from like the most recent episode where Ellen Pompeo left and like she was in that same surgery room of when she was talking to Derek and she's like, pick me, choose me, love me.
Oh yeah, and she
But like
shows
to the
herself.
new guy, she was like,
Yep.
I'm not gonna wait for you to sit around and choose me. Like you can do what you want. I love that. Like that's cool. There was
I
growth.
have chills. But I don't
It
know
is
what
so
I
good.
the thing is I don't know how long I'm gonna watch it. I guess
Yeah,
until I
how
get
many
bored.
seasons?
And then I'll stop.
Probably,
But season 1 and 2 are just like my comfort zone. I love it so much.
it's before like anything bad really happens. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely
And
started making it
before-
really dramatic.
I hated like as soon as they bring Owen Hunt in, I've always hated him.
I didn't like Burke
And
either,
it just
though.
I like Christina and Burke. They just had such a complicated, like perfect connection.
You know what's funny
And
though?
Owen makes no sense with Christina. It's just
Derek
ugh, goodbye.
is so atypical for the neurosurgeon personality in like how he is. I would definitely have to watch it again. I'm like gonna watch it again through the context of the surgeons I've interacted with. I feel like Burke is
Yeah.
very like typical
get
of
what
a
you
cardiac
mean.
surgeon though.
A robot.
Did you guys ever watch Private
He's-
Practice after?
Yes,
I
I
love Private
love that.
Practice.
Yeah.
That was a
That was
good
But
one.
I didn't
too.
like the characters as much.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I loved
I
Private
love
Practice,
Addison,
but like
but
I just loved
yeah.
Addison.
Yeah.
I liked
Um,
what's
I
his
recommend
name?
to
Cooper?
rewatch everybody.
What's his name? Cooper?
Oh,
The
the
Yeah.
young guy.
the kid, the pediatric
Yeah.
surgeon.
I think so. Yeah,
That was a good one.
I like.
Oh,
it.
the older guy. Yeah. Yeah, I liked him. But, you know, he was no George or Alex.
Yeah, George. That's who I was like thinking of.
Oh,
George
I
and
love
Mary's friendship
George.
in the beginning.
I just watched when Ellis Gray was brought into the hospital and George is pretending to be Thatcher because she thinks
Oh,
that George is her ex-husband. And he,
that's
oh, just-
sweet.
that show is just so good. And it's so sad that they ruined it. Like,
Do you think they
I
should
would
have
have
just
loved
ended
to have
it
a
earlier?
perfect little ending. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like it feels so good when you can wrap a show up in a bow and end it and like have all the characters still there. And not like even
Mhm.
Ellen Pompeo resents the show is still going on. Like that's not cool. I don't.
It's surprising
It makes me
that
sad.
that they still would. Unless it's just from like
It's like I
money
feel like it's Shonda
purposes.
Rhimes' ego that she wants a show that's on longer than any other show.
What is
Yeah.
she trying to be? Isn't it SVU or
She
something or
said-
like ER? Let me look it up.
I think she wants to have the longest running medical drama or something, but like who cares?
How long was House?
Oh, maybe 4 or 5 seasons?
Oh yeah,
We've just turned into scrubbing in.
The Simpsons. The Simpsons is number 1 with 34 seasons. Then Law and Order with 24. Law and Order.
And both of
SVU,
those
and
shows are
regular
still
Law and Order.
running.
Yeah. Grey's Anatomy's at 19 seasons, so they need to get to. Well, they're the longest running medical, unless
Okay.
NCIS counts as medical. I wouldn't count that.
What is how many seasons of The Office were there?
9?
Not that many, yeah.
Oh, really?
Too many. They should have ended after Steve Carell left as well.
That was
Like-
horrible when Will Ferrell was in it. That was
For
Will
Grey's
Ferrell
Anatomy
was
to
in
keep
it?
going
Yeah,
after
he
Meredith Grey
replaced
is gone is just so stupid.
I one thing I've always loved that I've done with The Office is I've never seen any of the seasons like all the way through. I just see
really?
bits and
Really?
pieces of the episodes, but I love catching like when someone's like, I love this episode, and then I get to watch it like kind of through their eyes and their memories of it. I really like
Mhm.
that part because there's like certain episodes where they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
gold.
You should watch all of them in order because the storyline is, especially with Jim and Pam and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I love that storyline.
I don't know if I could
Yeah, me
ever watch the
too.
whole. I mean, maybe I'll try it at
You'd
some
have
point,
to.
but
It's more just like a nighttime, like or
Yeah.
while you're doing something else or something.
maybe
Have it
that could
on.
be. Maybe when Joe starts watching The Office again, he like goes through all the seasons of like Community, Parks and
But I
Rec,
like
The
Community.
Office. So
I need to watch
when he starts
Community.
that
I
again,
haven't
maybe we'll
watched
watch
that.
it together.
We've been watching Gossip Girl, and we're almost done with the first season, and like it's just
I
bringing
love the
back
first
so
season of
much
Gossip Girl.
nostalgia.
That's another show that got
Oh.
kind of dumb as it, and it
I
ended really
was gonna say I
badly.
feel like they ended it well. I was gonna say that's one that I liked the way that they wrapped
It
it up.
made no sense that you know who is Gossip Girl.
Oh my god. Okay, so if you haven't watched Gossip Girl, skip forward like 1 minute because I'm gonna give a spoiler.
Wait, don't, because I don't remember it.
Oh, you don't?
I don't really remember what happens. No, I'm
Okay,
not
I
even sure.
won't.
I think I finished it, but I don't really remember if I did.
Okay, I won't give a spoiler then. But Cameron's never seen it, and it's so fun to like get his opinion on all the characters and stuff, and like see what he
Mhm.
thinks. But he's so annoying because like any show or movie we watch, he knows the plot line. Like he knows how it'll end.
Oh,
The
that's
first
annoying.
episode, he correctly guessed who Gossip Girl is.
What?
I'm like, how? And I didn't tell him. He doesn't
Well,
know
that
that
was
he's
just
right.
a shot in the dark because there's
No,
no
like
like
he was
evidence
analyzing.
that.
He was analyzing. I mean, I don't know how, but he's like because of this and because of this and because of this.
Well, I
And
don't
I
think
told
the
him I was like,
creators knew.
that's what I told him. I was like, there's some plot holes like where it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. Because I was trying to throw him off again because I'm like, how did you guess that?
That's funny.
But it's so good. Like I can't wait to keep watching it. We watch it every night now.
There's
It
like
is good.
another series where it just kind of got old after a few seasons. Like I couldn't finish the whole season
There's
of
a
it.
lot
I
of them,
forgot
honestly.
exactly. I feel like some of the shows I really can't. It's like almost overwhelming to watch all of the seasons back to back to back.
For sure.
Mhm.
And I definitely like having it be more.
And they used to have like way more episodes than seasons
Mhm.
do now.
You're
like it's always like
right.
20 something.
A lot of seasons only have 6 to 10 episodes now.
Yeah.
But I
aren't
saw
the
someone on
most
TikTok
episodes like over an hour without
now,
commercials?
yeah. And
That's true.
back then,
They're like
without commercials, are like
42.
42 minutes. Someone was saying that like something that we're missing from TV now is those filler episodes because back in the day they had to have so many episodes for a season, and there would
Yeah.
just be like episodes that were just like comforting and really good, like the Christmas episodes and the Halloween
Yeah.
I
episodes and
love
stuff. Those
Christmas
were always
and
the
Thanksgiving
best.
episodes.
Almost like they
Yeah.
kind of divulge more of the storyline. Like they give you more about the
Yeah.
character development and the
And you have
relationships
time to like
Yeah.
Yeah.
have more intimate.
That's so true.
During the Thanksgiving
relationships.
episode of Gossip Girl, I was like, I love
I
the
love
Thanksgiving
that
episodes. And
episode.
he was like, there's more Thanksgiving episodes? And I'm like, yeah, every season.
Yeah, I love the Thanksgiving episodes.
They're so good. Did you guys watch Chris Rock's new comedy special?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
It was good.
Oh, did
You
he
should
talk
watch it.
about the slap?
Yes, he saved it for the end. Well, first he said something like words hurt, but people who say words hurt have never been slapped before. And he said that like at the beginning, and then he probably did like a
That's
full
funny.
15 minutes on Will Smith.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was
That's
pretty
so
good.
interesting.
I liked it a lot. I feel like all comedy specials have been about COVID, like
Yeah.
every single one, and it's just like very annoying. And
Yeah.
this one isn't.
Were
So
they
I
all
liked
kind of
that.
recorded in COVID times?
Oh my god. Yeah, but also this is the first live Netflix thing they did. Like it was filmed live and broadcasted on Netflix,
Oh yeah.
which is very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Probably got paid hella. Did I say the intro yet?
See, it's hard because we just recorded another episode, so
Yeah, we're on our second episode, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of So Glad We're Friends. I'm Maggie.
I'm Devin.
I'm Brittany.
You waited like 5 seconds and then said your name as quickly as possible.
Maybe one day. Do I have to like start talking when you say Dev and then I'm like, I'm Brittany?
Yeah. Do you want to try again? Ready?
No, I'm
gonna
going to
say,
I'm just going to fail.
I'm Devin.
All right, well, today we're doing a little Q&A episode. So we're taking your submissions from our Google form and answering some advice and other Q&A questions.
I wonder if we got any other questions because I posted the link last night.
Oh, someone commented on my bocce sponsorship and said this was a super cute way to do a paid partnership. You did a really good job with this. It's nice.
You did so
I love
good
when
with
people say that.
That is
That's
very
like such a good
nice.
compliment when people say that you do good ads. I don't know why I love that.
You know what I've been seeing a lot on TikTok when people do a sponsored post, people comment on it and say, get that bag or whatever.
Yeah.
But that is like it's nice, but it's not a helpful comment in terms of a paid partnership. So like people shouldn't say, oh yeah, get that bag, sis, make that money. You should say something that pertains to the product. Like
that used to be a
it's
big
not
thing on
helpful
YouTube.
at all.
Yeah, where people would be like they are trying, obviously they're trying to be
they're trying to be nice.
like, oh, I'm happy for you that you got this still. But I think people just genuinely don't know or like understand that if you act interested in the product, it's a little more helpful.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay. So the first one is an advice. One, so 2 of my best friends have recently started to leave me out and never invite me to hang out with them anymore.
They're what we were just talking about.
I know. They are at different stages in their lives. They're both married and have babies, but I just don't understand why they never invite me to hang out. They still go out and do things all the time, but it seems like they only invite their couple friends, and because I'm single, I'm just never included. I'm not sure what to do or how to bring it up to them or even if I should. I've been friends with them since high school, same with their husbands, so I just don't understand why we never hang out anymore. It seems like it should be easy for them to include me in their plans every once in a while. Any thoughts or advice would be appreciated.
That's sad.
That does.
I feel like this is such a common thing though, like especially in our age range when people are at, because like you're saying, like some 30-year-olds have a 15-year-old, like literally.
Yeah.
But some 30-year-olds are like just barely starting living life and whatnot. So you could be at totally different places even though you're in the same age range.
Yeah.
Somebody just had a very similar question on the Bad Broadcast this week too, about their friends and relationships don't invite her out because she's single, which like makes no sense to me, honestly.
No, that makes no sense. I feel like sometimes like maybe the people in the couple or like if they have kids or something especially think that this, or like it's fully just assuming that the single person wouldn't want to, but like that's fully just assuming like there should be communication and they should talk about that.
Yeah. I definitely think it's hard. I think there's so many different aspects to this, but one aspect could also just be, I think as we were talking about before, like having kids is such an isolating, hard thing to go through. So the 2 friends that have babies together, like they might be like really leaning on each other in this moment in time. Like Joe's sister even said like she went and got her hair done and her hairdresser just had a baby too. And she said it was just so nice to be able to communicate and talk through and like vent without judgment or someone saying it's okay, because like, you know, if you don't have kids you don't really know exactly what they're going through. So having someone be like, yeah, it fucking blows, like this actually sucks and you probably won't sleep for another like 6 months, like I think that's something that, you know, as much as us without kids can try and relate to, it's definitely something on a different level that your friends with babies probably relate to differently.
Yeah, maybe they just don't think about it.
Yeah. I also think that like when you have babies, or at least I've heard this from my friends who have babies, like people act very excited initially, like while you're pregnant or like right when the baby's born, and then that kind of just falls off and they stop caring as much about the kid or like doing things with the kid, buying them presents, whatever it might be, like to be present in their lives. So I would also just make sure that you
Yeah.
are caring about the kid and like showing interest in their life, because that is now the biggest part of their life forever.
That's
But
a
at the
really good
same
point.
time, your friend who does have the kid needs to also understand that they can't just be fully talking about the kid 24/7, or like they also need to be interested in the single person's life. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too could be like this is again just for my like with Joe's sister. Um she likes to do stuff without the baby. She likes to do stuff and
mhm,
not talk about the baby. So she can also utilize that part of her life and say, "Hey, let's go do this or that or something completely unrelated to the kids."
yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the moms would both love that too.
Yeah, I think it's like finding a
Yeah.
balance.
So
Um But I think it's
definitely
important in
reaching
these sort of
out.
situations too to communicate just like how you're feeling and what you
Yeah.
need because they probably don't fully realize what they're doing. And
Yeah.
especially maybe before like they would be invited, she would be invited like with the husbands going out, but maybe the two friends think that there's not anything else for them to talk about now that there's kids and husbands and she's still single. So I think
Mhm.
communicating how much their friendship means and how much they just want to spend time together is really important
Yeah,
too.
and that you don't
Yeah.
care if you're with the kids.
Yeah. Because they might not know that you feel left out.
Yeah. But also it is kind of just getting used to friendships changing, and that you don't realize until your friends have kids and stuff that your friendship isn't going to be exactly the same. Like it's just kind of impossible. So you do have to adjust somewhat.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean they should be a shitty friend to you just because they're a mom. Like that's also not
Yeah.
okay.
I definitely this is such a multifaceted question. There's like so many different
Yeah.
components to it. So I definitely feel like it's so
I
valid
say
how she's
definitely
feeling.
communicate. Send a voice message.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the voice messages, that is something so underrated in terms of like just communicating how the tone of your voice, showing like
Yes.
how genuine you are with like,
Crying.
I miss you.
No, but really,
Why
because I feel
don't
like
you invite me?
yeah, like I texted when me and my friend were fighting the other day. Like I told you, I mentioned in the last
Yeah.
episode or something, but like I said something to her that was very snarky over text. Like it did. I said, "Why the fuck would
Yeah.
you do this?" Or the like,
But if you
"TF,
said
did
it
you
in
do
your
this?"
voice, like how
Exactly.
you
That's what I
just
told
said
her. Is like
it.
I did not mean it at all in a snarky way. I meant it like, "Wait,
Yeah.
why the fuck did you do that?" But like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't mean it like, "Why the fuck would you do this?"
Yeah. The other thing I think that I forget sometimes is just like sending little things to your friends that remind you instead of like doing full catch ups and everything. And
Yeah.
that's something within like just your day to day life of, hey, I saw this and thought of you, and sending that in a voice message with like the photo or whatever. Like, I
That's
think
cute.
that just means so much to
I
friendships
think
and
it
keeping them
does.
going.
Because sometimes I find myself
Yeah.
hesitating to reach out to people if I like anticipate that it'll be a long catch up, or like that it needs to be a long conversation or something. But you're
Yeah,
right. Like when you just do those like little things, it helps keep the relationship like alive.
yeah,
That's
for sure.
the hard thing about friendships is because literally proximity plays so much into it. Like when you're in high school, you see your friends every single day. And so it's easy to keep up a relationship, or like when you're dancing or cheer or whatever, you see that group of friends all the time. And then as adults, you make other friends like at work or in whatever social circles you're in, the gym, or like if
Or
your
mom
kids
friends.
do, yeah, your mom friends, if you're the kids that like dance together, and like, you make friends
Yeah.
based on proximity. And when your high school friends grow apart because you're not doing the same things every day, it's hard to fit into each other's schedules again.
Yeah.
And
That's
feel that
Why do
same
you
it's
think
so
closeness.
hard.
why do you think it's so easy for us to kind of talk pretty much every day? Do you think we
Well, I
all
feel
just
like
kind of
it's the
make an effort to
proximity thing in that we're doing the same job.
And I think
Yeah.
it's also
And
because of the podcast, probably, because if we weren't like if we didn't have to
yeah.
like plan things and whatnot, well, we'd still probably
Yeah.
talk every day.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, before we like had the podcast and we were just talking every day, I don't
Yeah.
know. I guess maybe it is just finding those little moments in the day that we just share with each other. Like we share clips, we share TikToks, we share
Yeah.
like
But we all
Yeah.
moments
have
in
the
the day
same
that kind of like suck
interests.
or really exciting.
But that's,
Yeah.
like, kinda what I'm saying is that's what it's easier for me to maintain those friendships where it is more of an everyday thing, like, even if it's, like,
Yeah.
one voice message or something, like, because we're constantly talking, it's, like, easier for me, like, it's the same with my siblings or, like, 2 or 3 of my
Mhm.
best friends, but once I go a few weeks or, like, a month without talking to somebody, then it's, like, bigger in my head of, like, "Oh, the next time I need to call them, it'll be, like, at least 30 minutes or something," which it doesn't make
I like
sense, it's
that.
probably, like, anxiety or something.
I think that's something I wanna make a better effort at this year is just, like, doing those little, like, things daily,
Yeah.
and I don't know, because
It's
there's, like,
hard,
times where
though.
it's, like, just so many weeks that go by, and I don't want that to be the case.
But
Well, it's
also, like, think
also
of old
hard.
times. Like, we didn't even have phones, like, people would
You
have
would
to,
have
like,
to
write
sit down
letters
and
and
right.
yeah, or sit down and schedule a phone call, like
But that's
Yeah.
the thing, as your proximities change, your interests change, and, like, obviously, if I see a funny TikTok or a content creator thing, I'm talking to you guys about it, and I'm seeing that
yeah.
shit all day long. But, like, when you're growing apart from high school friends and you guys have different careers now and different lifestyles, it's like you think less to reach out to them about something that's going on in your life because they don't relate to it. So, like, I wouldn't send my high school friends a TikTok about something going on in my life or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd
And then
send it to
also
them if it
every
was something
time
from
you
high school.
get together, yeah, like, "Oh, did you see what this person from high school is doing?" Like, that's how you
Yeah.
relate, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes it's like, who really gives a fuck what they're doing? And
Yeah.
then every time you finally do get together, it's kind of just like a life catch up, like, "Tell me about what's going on in your life." It's not like honestly, sometimes friendships just grow apart and they served you at one time. That's, like, depressing to
I
talk
can't get
about,
over that,
especially when you've
No.
been
though. I have
friends with
such a hard
someone for
time with
your whole
that.
life, but, like
I think it's kinda, like, beautiful, though, like, you, like, carry
yeah.
on because it's not that you're not friends, like, it's not that you
Yeah,
hate them or, like, have
but you
any
don't have
bad
anything in common
feelings.
anymore. You
And you
don't have
still carry the things from that friendship, like, with you in new friendships
yeah.
or just, like, with you in life, like, things that they taught you, music you listen to, blah, 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 like, I'll always hear songs and be like, "That
Yeah.
reminds me of this friend from 4th grade," like
Yeah.
I guess I get so nostalgic, like, thinking about all those memories and, like, that we
Mhm.
didn't continue on, like, making those memories together.
Yeah, it does make me sad, but it's kind of impossible to, I guess, is, like, what helps me with it because, like, we're not all in high school or, like, in college living in the same house, like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you can't
that's true.
really have that anymore.
Yeah.
But I even still do crave that, like, when I think about moving to Phoenix and stuff, it's because, like, oh, I wanna live really close to my best friend, so that way it's almost like we're living together and in college
Yeah.
again, like, because you
Yeah,
still always want that.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay,
Um,
that was a long answer to one
Yeah,
question.
that's
I think it's, like, such a
rough.
multifaceted thing, though.
But
Um,
definitely conveying how you're feeling is the first important step.
Yeah.
the next one is, "Hey,
Update us.
girls."
Yeah, please can you update us, everyone? Like, if we're giving you advice whatsoever,
Oh,
send
yeah,
us an update
Yes.
of how, like, the conversation went or
we should add
something. I
that
love
into a
updates.
Yeah,
yeah, how our
I like
advice
that.
helped you or something. We should add that section into the Google
Yeah.
form.
Um, "Hey, girls, I love you all so much and the podcast so much. I would love a little bit of your advice. One of my best friends from high school, male, just got married and I was not invited, although my entire high school friend group was invited. Even friends that his new wife didn't previously like. I even got a text from one of the friends during the wedding wondering where I was, and he was shocked to find out that I wasn't invited. But my female best friends did not once bring it up to me. They posted a ton of photos and videos of the bachelorette party and the wedding. I at least expected them to text me, shocked that I wasn't included
They were
or
in the
something.
wedding? The if they were at the bachelorette party.
Well, they might not have been in the wedding. I feel like there's a lot of people that get invited to the bachelorette
Yeah,
that
people
don't.
do that.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, the only bachelorette party I've gone to, I wasn't in the wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I wanna
I'm
do
just hurt that
that.
my
I
best
want you guys
friend.
to come to
Yeah,
my
do that.
bachelor trip.
Totally. Yeah.
Um,
I'm not
did you
like
ever hook up with this man? Is what I would say.
I'm curious too.
Did you ever kiss him?
Let me finish. Wait, we got
Oh,
more.
sorry, I thought that was it.
I'm just hurt that my best female friends never said one word about it to me, and I'm confused about why I wasn't invited when literally my entire high school friend group was invited. I even used to be friends with his new wife as well, so I have no idea what happened to make her not like me and not invite me to the wedding. I'm thinking about texting my best friends about it, but not sure what to say or do. What do you guys think?
I would definitely say evaluate your relationship with that boy first. Like,
Yeah.
is there any history with you guys whatsoever that you would have that your other friends didn't have? How often have you talked to that boy or the fiance in the last few years? Maybe even because the other people were invited, maybe they've kept up the friendship more in like a way
Yeah.
that you haven't, possibly. I don't know why maybe the girlfriends just never told you because they knew that you weren't invited and just felt like sad and didn't like want to bring it up to hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I wonder if there was something that might have happened that, like, they used to be friends with the wife too.
Because the wife didn't go to high school with them, right? But they said that like the girls became friends with her.
They were friends at one point. I don't know if they went to high school together. I think it could provide some clarity, though, to be texting the best friends and say, like, hey, you know,
But I would say if you wouldn't even ask the groom or the bride or like have that relationship with them or you talk to them, then it kind of does make sense that you wouldn't be invited. Like, I feel like now with planning a wedding and like now I thought we'd have like over 200 and stuff, and our venue's capped at 175. Like, we cannot have more than 175. And there's
yeah.
definitely people that I would want there or like expected to have that I just like physically won't be able to invite.
Yeah.
So like it might just be
Yeah.
that
But like
That's so
one
true.
person,
out of the
like
whole
to
friend
invite
group.
your
Yeah.
entire high school friend group, but leave out one
That's why it seems like a
girl.
little sus, like where I feel like
That's the only thing I can think of is like if there were feelings from the groom's side at one point or something. Like
because he
that's
probably did
literally
tell
the
the
only
wife.
thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think it's to just like provide clarity and maybe not have to talk to the groom or bride and put them in that position. I think it would be fair to like ask some of the best friends too and say, like, hey, do you
Yeah,
know anything about the situation? Like, did I do something that I wasn't aware of?
yeah,
And
Because they would have
definitely.
talked about it if there was like a big deal or like if it
Totally.
was
I'm
something
sure
you
they would
did.
have talked about, well, and I'm sure like the best friends, how could they have not discussed like that their other best friend wasn't
Yeah,
invited
because
to
yeah.
if
this
that
wedding
guy
that they're
texted her
at?
and was like, "Why aren't you there? Why aren't you here?" Then he
Yeah.
probably went and was like, "Wait, why
Oh,
isn't she
yeah,
here?"
true.
Yeah. I think I would talk to the friends and just be nonchalant about it.
Yeah, that's not weird to do.
Yeah, I think like trying not to be emotional about it, just being like,
Yeah. I would just say, like, hey, like, how is the wedding? I'm like, do you know if I did anything or something happened that I wasn't aware of?
I think just unfortunately, like invites feel so personal. Like it
They do.
yeah,
feels like an attack on you. Like when you're
yeah,
not invited to something and it might not even be about you, but especially if
that's
your whole friend
true.
group's invited, it would extra feel like it's specifically about you.
I
Yeah.
think the weird thing is just like not hearing from the other friends that were
It
like
was definitely like
the
they,
best
that they
friends that
definitely talked
never.
about it. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's not tell
And said
her.
not
Like,
to, yeah, I
that feels
agree.
so high school too. Like we just
yeah,
talked
maybe you
about this
don't
in an
even want to be
episode, but
friends
like
with these people.
where your friends
No.
were like doing stuff without you, and then you accidentally find out that they were together and you weren't invited.
Yeah, like that's not a fun feeling.
It's like
No.
let's just be open and tell each other
Finn's
shit.
wagging his tail in his sleep. I love when he does that.
Oh my God. He's such a little baby.
So cute.
Um, question. We can just, I feel like we've talked about this a little bit, but we could dive into it more. Are you introvert, extrovert, or a mix?
I've been thinking about this more recently because I do feel like pretty energized after certain social interactions. Like I do sometimes, like when I come back from Arizona, I feel better like in life. Like I feel happier and like more social. Or like when we're done recording a podcast, like I do feel like on a high right after. When I was serving, like I would always have a lot of energy the hours after. Like I had to like come down from it.
Yeah.
Can
But I
I read
am
the
an
little
introvert where I need to,
definition
yeah,
from my book? Let me go get my book.
yes. Because like I do feel like I need recharging time. Like I do need to be alone. Like I can't. By the
Yeah.
end of a trip to Arizona, I'm like I need a day alone. Like I have not had any alone time.
Do you need time alone during your trip? Like taking like a few hours each night to just
I would
be
love that, but I don't get that.
okay.
Like, I would love that. Like, when I went out to the bar, I came home at, like, midnight, and I had, like, 20 minutes while I was up, like, eating some McDonald's fries, and I was like, "This is very nice to be alone." But, like, I'm usually sharing a
Well,
room or having sleepovers or something.
Yeah.
in this book, she kind of explains it
What book
not
is
as a
it?
spectrum, but as a T. It's called Quiet.
As a T.
The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking.
Hmm.
But I think the T is like top is introvert, bottom is extrovert, and then there's like calm and anxious on the other sides of the T. So like you can be somewhere in this graph. Like you could be, I would be an anxious introvert or a shy introvert. But like you could be a calm introvert where like you just like to be alone, but you're good in social situations.
Okay,
Or
so, like, you would be an anxious introvert because you don't get energy from socializing and you feel uncomfortable while doing so.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's
But let me
interesting.
read how she kind of differentiates.
Does she say, like, introverted extrovert and extroverted introvert? Because that's what people say a lot, but that seems confusing.
That is
Well,
very
like, yeah, you
interesting.
could be like in the middle of the T where you're like
Mhm.
both an introvert and an extrovert. But this is kind of how I feel like this made a lot of sense. She said, introverts think out loud and on their feet. They prefer talking to listening. They rarely find themselves at a loss for words and occasionally
Extroverts?
blurt out, yeah, and occasionally blurt out things that they didn't mean to say. They're comfortable with conflict, but they're not comfortable with solitude. Introverts, in contrast, may have strong social skills and enjoy parties and business meetings, but after a while, they wish they were at home in their pajamas. They prefer to devote their social energies to close friends, colleagues, and families. They listen more than they talk, think before they speak, and often feel as if they express themselves better in writing than in conversations. They dislike conflict and don't like small talk, but enjoy deep conversations.
Yeah, that felt I feel like both of those. I don't know.
You could be just more in the middle.
Yeah. For me, I definitely identify with introverts. Like I like going out. I like small parties and stuff, but like I'm good in meetings. I'm good at talking to people, but after a while I am done. I want to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's how but I get very nervous for, like, a meeting or, like, a one-on-one social interaction or, like, a
Yeah, I
party with
still get
people I don't
nervous,
know.
but like I'm not bad at talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting though. I think we've talked about this too, that there are people that are just energy drainers. That no matter if you're an
Mhm.
introvert
That's
or an
true.
extrovert, they will just suck your energy. And that I think can be kind of confusing because if you don't know your people or don't have your people or find your people yet, like you might just be surrounding yourself with people that are just energy drainers.
I
Mhm.
think
And
there are some extroverts though that can literally talk to anyone and just feel good to be talking. Like my ex
Yeah, I love
stepdad,
just talking to a
he does
stranger,
not
yeah.
shut the hell up. He will talk to anybody and he loves it.
That is such a
Like
dad
he
thing,
doesn't
like,
let
literally
you say a word. He'll just,
yeah.
it's
yeah, I'll, like, leave my dad for 2 minutes, and then he's like, "This is Steve," and I'm like, He's your friend?" And he's like, "No, I just met him." Like,
that's
"Yeah."
funny
Okay.
because my dad is like me.
What's
"Oh,
My
something
really?"
dad
that's, like,
doesn't.
interesting about me, though, is if there's, like, a lot of people in a new group, I enter the group and I'm approachable, but sometimes I'm more reserved at first, and I observe things and wait to kind of figure out the dynamic before I, like,
Mhm.
open up and approach and, like, share myself and my
I feel like
personality.
that's
I'm
a
the same.
female thing. Like as
Yeah.
women, we're
Yeah.
just so much more aware, like socially aware and
I also the other thing I do too is with women that are larger personalities and more dominant in
mhm,
conversations and, like, overpowering and overbearing, I
mhm.
shrink. Like, I
Yeah.
make myself smaller
Mhm.
because I don't like to compete with that energy.
Yeah.
So, like,
Mhm.
if someone is really out there and, like, more I don't even know if outgoing is the right word, just, like, bigger personality than me, I will, like, shrink
Yeah.
myself down because it's just, like,
Can you
too much for me
imagine
to overpower that.
I wonder what would happen if two like extreme extroverts they wouldn't like each other. There's no way that two people who have
No.
huge personalities that don't shut the hell up would be able to have a
Well, it's weird
conversation.
because I'm an Aquarius and Cameron's a Leo, and those are like the two both like attention kind of seeking
Really?
signs. And
That is so funny.
we both do like attention, and it just depends on the setting. So like if we're going to a party or something with like his specific friends, then like I let him be the one that's like the one of the party. But like in certain situations, like I'm the one, and then he takes like a step back. I don't know. Do you
That's
guys feel like
very
it's changed
mature.
a lot since the pandemic though? Like because
Mhm.
I feel like the way that I approach every social situation, like it's changed a lot. Like when I used to be very much like
For me, it's changed since Willow.
that's interesting. It's all at the same time kind of for me. So I don't know what is
Yeah.
which.
That's
I
interesting.
used to love like Friday nights I would always go out. Like I would meet people out. I love drinking. I would Uber and stuff. But then as soon as I got Willow, I felt guilty leaving her. Like
Yeah.
I would go out very occasionally and then like the less you do something, the scarier it gets and the more you
Mhm.
do it, the
That's
more
what it
comfortable. So
is.
like
Yeah.
the less I also just as you grow up and you start to party less and stuff, it just
Yeah.
becomes more and more
And
difficult to
hangovers are
socialize because you're
worse. You
not
feel
used
worse the
to
next day.
yeah.
I
And now that
agree.
I don't even work in an office, I literally don't have to socialize with anyone. Like my
Do
social
you
skills are
feel
just going
though
down the drain.
like when you do, because for me it's like I don't want to do anything. I'm like I do not want to leave my house. I am very happy doing this,
Yeah.
but then once I go do the thing, I'm like, "Oh, that was fun and I'm really glad that
Yeah.
we went to do that." And now I'm
Yeah.
still home by a certain time and like it's all
Yeah, that's
good.
why I think it's still important to do things, even if you're an introvert. Like, you still need to socialize, even if it's a small amount. Like, it
Yeah.
makes you feel good. Even if it's
Hmm.
draining, you still feel good that you connected with someone or like tried
Yeah, it's
something
like
new.
social hierarchy of needs. Like yeah,
Yeah.
everybody needs that.
Yeah. Brittany, do you ever feel like when you aren't being social for a long time, like that you need to go out and like socialize with someone?
Yeah. The
Like,
problem though, that like especially with the pandemic that I fully like realized my social needs was that like I get depressed and then I don't want to do anything. So then it's just kind of this like
yeah,
cyclical thing
yeah,
that keeps me in that until I like bring myself out of it with like FaceTiming a friend or hanging out with friends and I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh, like that's what I was
Same.
missing."
'Cause does
And
Joe
so,
really fulfill that for you? Like, I feel like because I'm with Cameron all the time, like, I still like going out and stuff with him, like, it's fun, but it doesn't fulfill, like,
yeah.
the friendship need, I guess, or, like
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that there is to some degree. Like, if we don't spend, the day together or whatever, I'm like, hey, like, let's hang out. And it definitely feels good. But
mhm.
I think being in social interactions, like social settings, definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, I think just moving makes it different, probably, like, because now
Yeah.
it's, like, just you 2, and now you have to, like, make friends and to be able to
Yeah,
have those social interactions.
for sure.
It's interesting because to me, I understand how social situations are draining and like can tire you out. And it's funny to think that like real extroverts get drained from being alone. Like that just
Mhm.
seems so like how is that
Yeah.
exhausting?
Yeah.
But like for Brittany, like she just said, it kind of feels like you start to feel depressed.
Yeah. And it's like hard
Uh-huh.
to bring yourself out of that because it's just like this
That's why I get
rut.
confused because that does
Yeah.
happen to me because then I do like I love being alone, but then if it's like over a week probably of not hanging out with anybody, then besides Cameron obviously, then I'm like
Yeah.
I do start to feel more depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
There
you're just
it's
more in the
so much a
middle.
spectrum. Like if I'm a like on the weekends, if my family are busy and I can't hang out with them, I start to feel so depressed too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
lonely and I have no friends and just like this spiral in my head. I'm still like a huge introvert and I
Uh,
still need to be alone a lot
Yeah.
to like
I wonder if that's your
recharge.
perception of it or like what other people might think rather than like what you actually feel.
What
Yeah.
do you mean?
like if you're like, oh, I should be going to hang out with my family, and like now I'm gonna be alone, and that's gonna be really sad, and now I'm gonna have a bad
Oh, no,
weekend.
like, I still need to socialize, like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes me feel better.
I
That's why,
definitely think you have a
like
good point though, Maggie, of like the people's perception or like society's perception is like something's wrong with you if you're not like hanging out with people or
yes,
enjoying that process. So I think that for a lot of introverted people, like they suffer with like the
feel
self-acceptance part of that.
shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shame.
Mhm.
You know
That's a
what's
good word.
crazy is in this book Quiet, she was talking about like in the 50s or something with introverts. It was almost like they put introverted kids in conversion therapy because it was
That's
so
crazy.
bad and shameful if you're quiet that if you were a quiet kid, then you're not going to succeed as an adult. So parents would send their kids away to be therapized to teach them how to be extroverts because
That's crazy. But then when women
it's
were too
almost like,
extroverted, they were freaking witches.
yeah,
Like,
That's
it's
insane.
just so
I
crazy
think
to me.
in the same sense though too, like with being an extrovert, I definitely need to give myself alone time and give myself time to recharge. Like it's just a lot less time, but if I don't have it, then I think that can lead to like burnout. But because it's
Mhm.
such a good feeling to be around people and like exert energy and like get energy from other people, I think it's easier for me to forget that side of it.
do you guys think it has, like, how much does it have to do with just, like, energy levels? Because, like, for me, this month that I'm very, very busy, this weekend coming up is, like, my only weekend home. So in my mind, I'm like, I need to just do nothing. Like, I need to just be home and not doing anything.
I
And we got
think
invited
it
to a
has a
party. We
lot.
have to do, like, several things. And that's, like, stressing me out that now I'm not gonna have a weekend that isn't free. And, like,
Yeah, I
but
think it has a lot to do with
stupid.
energy levels.
But then
Because like
that energy though is from like introverted, extroverted is like
Because you
energy
do get the
levels too.
energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but like a lot of in my experience posting on social media, a lot of people that are introverts love like traveling by themselves or doing
Mhm.
anything by themselves and they're like I love traveling by myself because I get to make all the decisions and stuff. But like for me truly, I think it's boring doing things alone. Even though I'm an introvert and I get frustrated in social situations when I start getting tired. Or like when I went to
Mhm.
Disneyland, it was so much stimulation. I was drained like within an hour. And it was
Mhm.
frustrating as fuck for me because I wanted to be able to be energized. And like I want to be an introvert or an extrovert. I wish that I was. But like I
And people don't
literally need to go
understand.
recharge by myself, but I still love being around people that I love,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, that's, like, what I told my family at Disneyland, like, just going back to the hotel right now for an hour will make me a much
Yeah.
better person the rest of the night. Like, I understand
Yeah.
you guys don't need that, but, like, I need that to be able to function later.
Yeah.
It's also annoying as an introvert because I feel like I need to like drink in order
Same.
to not get drained and need to go home. Like
I
I
think
need to
that's
be
a
Literally
very
drinking.
same.
common thing too. I feel like Joe's like that too. And
Yeah.
that's like such a shitty feeling.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
how I become extroverted, like, that's how I
Yeah.
lose like, I am confident then, I'm able to talk to
Mhm.
people, I'm able to walk up to people, I
And you stay
sing
energized for
karaoke.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it sucks that our society is just so built
Yeah.
on being an extrovert. And I mean, I wish I was an extrovert because I like socializing, but like it tires me out very quickly,
I wish I was too, like, it would be
unfortunately.
so nice, like, when I look at this month, like, I don't know why been so stressed about this freaking month because being busy, and then it's like,
Yeah.
why would I spend a whole month being stressed about, like, fun things that are planned? Like, that
Yeah.
literally makes no
Yeah.
sense.
I
Yeah.
wonder like for you, especially because you enjoy planning, I wonder if there's like ways for you to just pencil in more of that time, like when you are doing
Of being alone.
of being alone or just like,
Which
when
I'm
you're planning
trying
your
to.
trips and stuff, you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna take an hour to go get coffee by myself."
Mhm.
Yeah. That's still hard for me to do because of the limited time, but I am trying to be better
In
at
your
that.
people pleasing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
needing to
Because 'Cause
yeah.
they're like, "You're only here for 5 days, you're gonna leave
But,
us
like,
for a
what
few
you
hours."
did
Yeah.
with your family in
That is hard
Disneyland
though, especially not seeing your family. I think but that's like where I think it's so important to communicate that up front
Yeah, that you're going to be a better person if you can have an hour to yourself once a day or
And
something.
luckily, like, my mom is super, super understanding. Like, when we come back from the Taylor Swift concert, we leave at our flight is at 5 in the morning. So, like, we're not gonna be
Oh, the
sleeping
day
before that.
after?
Yeah, the day after the
Oh,
concert.
shit.
And then my mom, grandma, and aunt will be in Vancouver visiting because my grandma's going to a birthday
Oh,
party. So, like, then there's no break in between that and when I go back to Arizona. So I told my mom, like, even though you guys might be here, like, I might need to take that Sunday, like, because
Yeah.
even if I know in my head that I need to meet you for dinner later and I still have a few hours in the day, like, to me, then I'll just be thinking that I need to get ready and go to dinner later.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, the birthday, this is such a slow question answering. I only click on 2
I
questions.
often hang out with my boyfriend and his family, friends in a large group settings. I love all of them, but as an introvert, I struggle to connect with people, be part of the conversations in groups bigger than like 4 people, and I do better in one-on-one conversations. I often feel kind of invisible when we hang out as a group, like no one is including me in the conversation or asking me what I've been up to. It makes me feel pretty lonely, even though I like all of these people and want to connect with them more. Then my anxiety kicks in, and I think, if they cared, they would ask how I'm doing, include me in the conversation. My boyfriend has noticed my loneliness in these settings, but he's very extroverted and unsure of how to help me feel more comfortable or feel more included. Do you have any advice for connecting with people more easily in large group settings as an introvert? Do I just need to suck it up and start initiating more conversations, inserting myself into conversations? Thanks. I feel like
I
this is
had
a
like
flip side of me and Joe with my family.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah.
I had like several thoughts while you were reading the thing and now I like can't remember what they were.
Do you want me to read any part of it again?
Okay, so let's dissect it. She hangs out with her
Her boyfriend
boyfriend
and his
and his family,
family and
okay? And
friends.
they're all extroverted. Well, one thing I was going to say is remember that TikTok that we talked about how people have conversations differently and some people are question askers and
Mm.
some people are
Mhm.
statement makers and that's how they
Yeah, I forgot about
some
that TikTok.
people make statements as a way to invite you into the conversation. So, like, kind of maybe paying attention to that next time, because sometimes I'll start a conversation by, like, oh my God, I made so much content today. But I'm like inviting you guys to also say what you did today, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if
Instead of
people
being
are
like, "What did
more
you do today?"
Yeah.
if people don't understand that, they might not feel that as an invitation.
Yeah, so, like, maybe paying attention to that, but also I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I feel like what has made me shy as a human today is all the times that, like, I've tried to speak up in a group conversation and nobody hears
Oh my
me or
that's
acknowledges
Yeah.
the
me.
worst.
That is the
Yeah.
worst feeling ever, and so that's why I never like, I'm, like, jump roping trying to figure out when I can jump into the conversation, you know? And,
And
like
then, like, when you're trying you know what you're gonna say in your head, but then, like, the topic
yes.
changes, and then you're like, "Shit, I
Oh my
can't say that
god.
anymore."
That's why I hated in college because you didn't have to raise your hand in college. Like, you literally just had to speak out, and so I
Yeah.
would never speak up. If I could
Never.
raise my hand, then I
Never.
would, but if I went to talk, I'd start talking out loud, and then somebody else would start talking, and nobody would hear me, and then I would just wanna curl up in a ball and die.
Yeah.
I would
That's
never
a
speak in a
horrible
college
feeling.
class.
Yeah.
That is such a horrible feeling.
It's the
I think
worst.
that sometimes in these circumstances, it is an understanding that some people are oblivious and like
Yeah.
don't have the social cues that they are just like talking over one another. Like there's
Mhm.
people that just like they're thinking like 10 steps ahead while the other person's talking. And so like they're gonna jump in. And so some people I think like it should be if that's the type of family that they are,
Yeah.
then it might just like take the pressure off of yourself and just observe
Wait,
and
so
like
that's
if
how it is
you
with your family for
no, but
Joe?
like if that is what like I've just been with those type of people before where it's like they are in their own world and in their own conversation and they don't take social cues. So it's like it can't you there's nothing you can really do about that. And so if
Yeah.
that is the case for this person's family, then it's
And
important to kind of
maybe
like take that and know that. But I think for like in these conversations too, sometimes it is a group conversation, but can you like have a conversation with the person sitting next to you
Yeah.
and like
Wait, have
ask
you ever
them?
been that person that is the only one that hears the person next to you talking, so then you become the person stuck in that
Yes.
conversation while the whole group is
Yes.
Yes, all the time.
oh, that is the
But that
so
could also
awkward
feel
because 'cause they're like,
better
"I wanna
though.
be in this conversation, but I feel
Yeah.
dumb."
I know, and then you're like, "Wait, I'm trying to listen to this person."
I know my ADD sometimes I'm like, but I also
Yeah.
want to be
I
over
know.
here.
Oh my god.
But I think it is
But
helpful though to like be included or at least like have that conversation
Yeah,
because then you're at least like talking to somebody instead of just sitting there by yourself
yeah.
and not being included.
I'm trying to think of
maybe
this in, like
also
no, go ahead.
as time goes on, maybe you'll get more comfortable with
That's what I
them
was
and
gonna
then be
say.
able to speak up more because, like, I know for me as an introvert, once I'm more comfortable with people, like, I'll talk over you guys, I don't really care, you know? But,
Yeah.
like, with people I don't know, I'll just quietly maybe make an effort to have more one-on-one conversations with each person in that group so that you can grow more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the one thing too though is that like so like with Joe in my family conversation sometimes like he has like he's really funny and has like just like one-liners and stuff, but he's very much more observant. And at
Mhm.
first I was like, why aren't you talking? Like, why aren't you contributing to the conversation? But over time I've just been like, oh, he's like paying attention, he's listening, he's there, he's present. He just
That's
doesn't have
good.
anything to say and he's not just filling the room with like meaningless shit. Like he
Yeah,
so I
because
think like I've
also
grown to appreciate that more because I'm like, oh, he's saying something interesting or contributing something interesting instead of just filling up space for no reason.
that's good that you realize that because as an introvert, that is the worst thing that somebody could say to me is,
Yeah,
"Why aren't you talking? Why are you being so
I know.
quiet?"
It's such a
Or
shitty thing
what's
I've done.
wrong? Yeah.
I know, that's what I've done, and I'm like, "Oh, it's just
No,
that
but it
you."
makes sense why you don't understand it because your brain
Well,
just
also
doesn't
as
think
an
like that.
extrovert, you think that if you're not talking, then you're not in a good mood, you know, but that's not true for introverts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that families are just like an extra hard dynamic because that's like,
Yeah.
especially if they're close, that's like the most inside jokes. Like when me and my siblings are together, we're the people that you were just talking about, Brittany. Like we're unaware of anybody else in the room. We're saying inside jokes that make no sense to anybody else. Like people try, like our parents and other people get so annoyed because like they sit there, but they can't even hop in on the conversation because we're
Yeah.
just moving too fast and like it
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. But I think it's time, like you were saying, like the that's what's hard too is like it's not like high school where you're with them all the time. So like it's not
Yeah.
like you're
Mhm.
with your boyfriend's family multiple times a week or something. I mean, maybe you might be, but like unfortunately it takes longer to get like closer with them. But
Mhm.
then yeah, it's like finding your roles because when Cameron's with my family, he naturally does take like he's more quiet and more of a listening and he'll say like funny comments every now and then. But he's completely different than when he's with his family. Like when he's with his
Yeah.
Yeah.
family, he's doing the same thing with his siblings, and then I'm the one that's like more quiet. But I think time helps a lot because then you also get involved in the inside jokes and you start
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
know the people that they're talking about and you start to just learn more about them. But I think this is hard for me because I like the people pleaser in me when I'm in a group. I don't struggle with this because like I feel the need, like I feel like it's uncomfortable if I'm not the one talking or like trying to make the conversation happen. Like I would be the one in a group that's like trying to initiate conversation if it's quiet or like try to
Yeah.
talk to that person like you were saying, like start a different combo with the one person on
Oh,
the
yeah,
side.
I'm like that too. Whenever I have let's say I'm going out with a friend group and there's a new friend coming into it, I will
Yes,
be the best friend with the
because you
new
feel
person
like you
Yeah.
have
because
to.
I want them to have fun and not feel awkward.
Yeah, like when we just went out to the bar when I was just in Arizona, it was like several of my friends that didn't know each other necessarily, but they're all my friends. And
Mhm.
like I definitely felt like I was never once just doing what I wanted to do. Like the whole time I was like, okay, I need to make sure this group of people is happy, then I need to make sure that they're
Mhm.
happy and that I'm talking to them enough and not these other people too much. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it's
think
quite
that
exhausting.
there is like a way though, there's like two different things I want to say is like one, if you are the person that's like more comfortable in that setting, like how can you be aware or like even if she asks her boyfriend like, "Hey, can you invite me into the conversation? Just like acknowledge me and just say
For
like
sure.
Yeah.
help me relate to whatever we're talking about.
Cameron's
But
very good at that. Like, if
yeah.
somebody mentions something about, like, just something that I could relate to, then he'll be like, "Oh, Maggie did this, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Like,
And then it gives you the opportunity to start speaking about it.
yeah.
That's
But
nice.
the
Yeah.
other thing too is that like with Joe and his siblings, like they do have these stories, and of course it's similar to like with your high school friends and you want to like reminisce about stuff.
Mhm.
And I've grown to just appreciate like listening to those stories
Mhm.
and like
Yeah.
seeing how happy it makes them to remember those things and reminisce on them, because
Mhm.
it's not about me. It's about them and their enjoyment of those like memories and laughing about them and whatever else.
Mhm.
So
And one day you'll be in those memories. Like, it's just
yeah.
gonna take a while for it
Mhm.
to get there, but in 20 years they'll be like, "Remember back then?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Do we do one more? Is there like a short one or something?
Yeah, if you want to get into content creation, should you make an LLC, S corp, and get an accountant before you start posting anything? No.
No, not before you start posting anything.
I think
Um,
keeping track of like any sort of money, like expenses
If you're spending
especially,
money, yeah.
like
Or making it.
probably have more expenses at first, but like keeping track of those things with a
yeah.
separate bank account or like debit card or something makes a difference, just so it's easier. But
Yeah.
I
I
don't think
think I
that
did it backwards. Like, I fully, in my mind, like, immediately got the LLC, which I do think, like, in my mind, it did do something where I wouldn't have
I
taken myself as seriously, or said, like, I wouldn't have felt as comfortable saying, like, I have a business or something without an LLC, even though that's, like,
Yeah.
kind
Opening
of
an
dumb,
LLC
but
is easy enough. I mean, you could open an
it's also
LLC if you wanted
expensive.
to.
depending on where you live
I
though.
don't
Chicago is
Mine was like
expensive. Here is like
$1,000
not.
or
Yeah.
something.
Oh,
Here
really?
is
Mine was
not
like
that
And I'd have to
expensive.
100.
renew it every year.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Mine
didn't
was
renew it, and then that's when I went
$1,000.
to open my business bank account, and he was like, "It doesn't exist anymore," and so I had to, like, go fully renew it. I think it was, like, $500.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Every state is a little different. So that's another reason why I say don't do it until you're like ready, because some states it's like pennies and other states it's like thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. You could open a debit card, a new debit card under your name. Like you can have as many debit cards as you want. Maybe like just separating how much money you're spending for your business.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
like a year and a half or maybe 2 years, I was just using my savings account as my business account. Like I
Yeah.
kept the money separated, but I didn't have an LLC. I don't think you need an S corp until you're making like good money.
Yeah. I also did I opened up like a separate bank because I wanted to keep the money completely separate. So I just opened up a separate
Mhm.
bank account and a different debit card and treated that like as my business account.
Yeah.
But
That
I
is what
think
I should have done.
that's honestly something that like I think everyone should start earlier, because like you're saying, Maggie, of just the mindset piece of it,
Mhm.
you start treating it like a business and you take yourself more seriously. And if you say,
And
oh,
you
like,
will have to do taxes, and then, like, if you fuck it up like I did and have nothing separated
Oh, yeah.
whatsoever, it's gonna
That's
be
hard.
quite complicated.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I
But
think,
congrats.
yeah, congrats. I think that definitely like starting out, just like taking yourself seriously and treating yourself as a business
Yeah.
makes it so much better mindset wise for
And
for the possibilities that you can take it, because there's so many different things you can do that the more you take yourself seriously starting out, the more you have. But I think the people that like start out and they're like, oh, this is just like a fun little hobby, like a side little
Mhm.
thing, and it takes longer to transition into that mindset and start like charging money and start like,
Mhm.
treating it more professionally.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Those were good questions.
Those were good questions.
I was just gonna say something and I fully forgot. Oh, you can also talk to an accountant is what I was gonna say. Talking to an accountant, like, helped me a lot. Like, even if you're not, or like a business manager or something, like,
Yeah.
just maybe give them the download of, like, I'm making this much extra, like, what should I do? Or like, what is the right
Mhm.
thing for me to do? An S corp, an LLC? Should I just get a bank account? Like,
Yeah.
they'll know what level you should be at, like, based on where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Hey, well, thank you so much for listening to another episode. Go ask any of your questions in our Google form, and we'll just keep pulling them from there. We should do, like, maybe just, like, one or two at every episode or something.
Yeah, depending on how long we
Yeah, I
finish
guess.
this.
But
Yeah, we
then-
always freaking talk too much, guys.
Yeah.
But give us an update if we did answer
Oh,
your
yes.
question.
Yeah, I'll add that in.
Because I'm trying to know. We should definitely, like, I really want to have, like, callers one day and stuff. Like, I want, or, like, voicemails or something where we can listen to them.
Yeah, that would be a little easier, like a voice message.
Yeah,
but-
our social anxiety wouldn't like a live call.
and just like the anxiety of like trying to get someone like added into the call.
Yeah. Okay, so
Stressing
just
me out.
write down your update first and we'll figure out the rest one day. But make sure you're following us on YouTube and subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, leave a rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
That was
We
a good
did it.
episode.